Brilliant. So we can now introduce in person Kate from Kaicycle. I think I've actually seen Kate cycling around in a very interesting looking contraption, which I'm sure she'll tell us more about. But Kaicycle is, I don't know, totally up there in Wellington in terms of knowledge about compost and what we do with our food and organics waste. So I'll invite Kate up and then I'll quickly get her PowerPoint ready for her. Let's have a warm welcome for Kate.
Thank you, Kate, for the awesome introduction. It's really cool to be here. This is such a cool event. Amazing. Elise and Kate working on it. Am I on? Really close. Okay, sorry. Just shout out if I'm not clear, please, because I'm nervous. Cool, yeah, it's so cool to see everyone here and an amazing program. And yeah, great with everyone who's contributed to putting this on. It's really cool stuff you guys are doing together. So, okay, so I'm from Kaicycle. This one. Alright, sweet. So I'm from Kaicycle. We're an initiative based in Newtown. Sorry. A little bit closer. Okay, so like this, is that nice? Sweet. Brilliant. So we have an urban farm and composting setup in Newtown. We're sandwiched between a couple of kindergartens, the hospital and government house, and we're just behind Adelaide Road, one of the main thoroughfares, so pretty urban. What is an urban farm? It's just a place for growing vegetables in the city, so farm in an urban context. And so we do a bunch of composting as well. So yeah, I think that's enough background for now. We started this in 2015. This was just a kind of unloved council park, and we came in and started, with permission of course, we're at the community garden, as we started digging up that land and converting the soil into productive spaces to grow vegetables, adding lots of compost and getting it nice and healthy again. Cool, so what are we about? What are we kind of founded on? The idea is that we're showing that it's possible and viable and to Jenga. Sorry?
Just the Tower of Babel coming down.
Yeah. The industrial food system coming down. So we're showing that we can be part of a change towards more sustainable cities. Most of us live in cities these days, and that's only a trend that's continuing to trend on. So we can actually convert spaces in the city to spaces where we can grow some of our food. We can compost in the city, looking at how we shift our paradigm, our models of living, to more sustainable practices. So we're focused on what works in Wellington. Of course, we've got a pretty specific microclimate here, so we're also looking at what food is best to grow in Wellington, develop a seed bank to promote our Wellington-specific food resilience for the future. We're Kaicycle, we want to be part of regeneration of the local land, building that soil quality, but not just our benefit, but the whole ecosystem, the whole environment. We promote zero waste, composting as best practice in the city. We want to be a community hub, so educate about local food growing and composting in the city, so we can all be empowered to make these changes in our everyday life. And just there's a lot of social well-being that comes out of doing things together in the city, growing food, connecting with the land, doing things for ourselves. So that's really important to us, the community, social aspect, as well as just the environmental impact. So moving on, so that's, you saw a picture of our urban farm just there. It's a bit faded out, but hopefully you can see there's some stuff growing. And our composting service. So currently we're offering a compost collection service for local households and households and office spaces in the CBD and the surrounding central suburbs. So that's kind of a response to, hey, there's no council option at the moment for people who would like to have their food waste composted but don't have the space or the time or the know-how to do it. So we ride around on that interesting contraption that Kate was mentioning, our little e-bike. Is this a laser pointer? Yeah. Alright, cool. So this is our nice e-bike. We rent them from switched on bikes in the front. So electric bikes, great way to navigate Wellington's tiny, steep streets. with the trailer of food waste on the back. So yeah, you might have seen us buzzing around on Wednesdays and Fridays. So we pick up a compost bucket from our customers, we pedal it back to the urban farm and we turn it into compost. That compost then goes onto our urban farm to eventually grow the food that we're going to eat ourselves, donate to the local community or sell to local restaurants. So we're looking at trying to close the loop a bit with food in the cities. So turn food waste back into food right here. Of course, it's not completely closed loop because most of the food we consume comes from out of the cities, but hey, it's a step in that direction. And hopefully we can, things start with soil, food starts with soil. If we can produce local compost to enrich our local soils, we're more able to grow food for ourselves in the city. So yeah, that's our journey. We do ultimately want to empower communities to come up with their own composting solutions. So this is really great, but our customers still don't really know how to compost. So we would like to work on diversifying what we're offering and connecting with other community groups, collaborating to do composting in other ways, because there's so many different ways to compost and many different models. So we're looking to share our model, but we also want to be involved in different approaches that don't necessarily involve people paying to have it collected, people actually doing it themselves. And we'd like to connect with groups across Aotearoa so we can share our composting knowledge and experience to get more of it happening everywhere. So that's, I guess, enough background about Kaicycle. So now moving into a bit about why do we want to compost and why is it important. We've already touched on the landfill thing. Currently the paradigm is we take all our things that we don't want anymore and we send them to a big pit in the ground. We don't have to look at it past our home, we just put it out in the street and it disappears. It's very convenient, but it is still going somewhere. It doesn't just magically disappear, and it does have downstream effects. So pollution mainly, especially when we're talking about food waste, organic waste that's going to landfill. I think most people are quite familiar with the idea that in the landfill, food waste breaks down anaerobically and produces greenhouse gases. Is that familiar-ish? Yeah. So when we bury food waste, the natural breakdown process that you might find on the forest floor or on a farm doesn't happen. So you don't get the healthiest kind of way of breakdown. You get byproducts of methane, carbon dioxide, which of course contribute to global warming. We also have so much nutrients being locked up in that liquid in the ground, which ends up getting into our water table. We call that leachate, really nutrient rich. So full of nutrients, it's actually polluting. So we get air, water, soil pollution, then we send food waste to landfill, which is so concentrated. And it's not able to return to soil, which it wants to do. It's a natural process. Nutrients flow through the cycle of soil to plant, to food, through humans and other animals back to soil. But we're disrupting that cycle when we send things to landfill. And we are sending a lot of it to landfill. Approximately half, 40% of our rubbish is actually compostable stuff that we send to landfill in New Zealand. So we could be making a lot of soil if we took that out, separate it. Also, rubbish bags would be a lot less smelly, which would be nice on rubbish day. So even though most of us don't see 3-week-old rice or banana skins or mouldy bread as something delicious, some delicious form of nutrients that can be used, a bunch of organisms have adapted to do exactly that, use that as food, convert it back down into nutrients that can go into the soil, and then we can experience it again in the form of beautiful fresh bananas and wheat. So it's just harking back to that idea that's been touched on before today about the circular economy, but just everything is circular. We live on a finite planet with abundant but limited resources. We need to be able to link those cycles back together so that we can live on the way we like to, ensure food security for the future, and keep our ecosystem generally happy. There's shifted that perception towards the end product, end waste product, and not the end waste product. That is still a resource that needs to be fed back into the food cycle, food loop. So yeah, I think the underpinning idea there is the more food we eat, the more organic matter we send to landfill, the more we owe to the soil. we're depleting the nutrients in the soil, taking it away, and we're not really replacing anything. Or if we are replacing it, we are replacing it with artificial fertilizers made by factories. And that's not the best kind of fertilizer at the end of the day. Compost is the best fertilizer that soil would want. So why are we sending tons and tons of perfectly good organic nutrients to landfill every year and making tons and tons of artificial fertilizer? Probably has something to do with the fact that you can make a lot of money off that. But it's, we should be just following that cycle, turning food waste back. Okay, let's go early. Sorry, moving on. So why also should we compost? We get healthier food when we nourish our soil properly. Soil quality is really tightly linked to food quality. I think most of us would agree that a homegrown tomato picked in the peak of summer tastes a lot more delicious than something you might buy in the supermarket with a quite pallid, bloated specimen in the middle of winter, pale in colour. So that's also linked to how good your soil is and how much nutrients are coming into the soil. So you get in what you put out, as with most things and relationships, your soil quality and your food quality. And compost has a whole range of nutrients in it. The most common fertilizers used in agriculture are NPK fertilizers. That's 3 kind of main chemicals in there: so nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. I think I got that right. But in compost, you've got way more different kinds of elements and minerals that you actually need to get the best quality healthy food. So compost provides that. If we can eat our food, put that waste back into the soil, grow more food, we're actually supporting ourselves. We're developing food security. We're resilient. If the supermarket's closed, we would still have some food, kind of thing. So it's a good thing to have food security. And by having that circular loop of nutrients, we're doing the right thing for the environment and the ecosystem, and supporting not just ourselves, but the health of Aotearoa. How am I going for time? I think. A little bit more. Perfect. Cool. So that's kind of my main ramble about why composting is important. And I've got just a few more things here about how we actually think, okay, that is an important thing to do. How do we go about it? So at the end of the day, composting is something that happens naturally, forest floor, with natural organisms and ecosystems, eating, composing, it's something happening all over the world. So when we're composting intentionally, we're just creating the right working conditions for nature to do its job, essentially. So that's kind of easy, takes the pressure off. It's just like following a recipe, right? We're just talking about a recipe with 4 simple ingredients, a couple of years, slow cooking, a browning, or compost. Would you like to look at that? Yes, the 4 main ingredients in the compost, and we'll go over this a bit more in depth. Shannon's going to run a composting workshop later in the month, so we'll kind of take that further then, but I thought I'd just give a quick overview now. So we've got browns, greens, water and air, which are our main inputs into compost. I think the main problem with the classic home compost that's smelly and gross and no one wants to take the compost out is because we're only putting in greens. We're not putting in enough browns and enough air. So what are browns and greens? Greens are stuff like your food waste. So your fresh, moisture-rich compostables that are they're really high nitrogen. And then things like dried leaves, dried grass, straw, we call them higher in carbon. And it's important to have a balance of these 2 ingredients, otherwise you get sludgy, smelly compost. Water and air also need to be balanced. Water, you might need to water your compost occasionally if it's looking a bit dry. Air, you need to turn your compost every now and then to keep it healthy. And that just means that we're keeping those bacteria who are actually in there doing the real work. We're giving them what they need. In return, they're not going to create a little landfill in there, because if you don't put enough air in, you get that anaerobic decomposition where you get methane and carbon dioxide being produced. It kind of becomes a little landfill in a way. So we want to keep enough air in that it will become a little landfill. So balancing those 4 ingredients is pretty much the first step to great compost. There are so many different ways that you can do composting to any scale. For a tiny amount of compost, you can do a small worm farm, or do your classic have a bin in your garden, layer everything in like a lasagna. Or you can do massive scales. So at Kaicycle we do hot compost. So we've got large piles that are maybe, this high and that wide, that deep. And because they're just so big, they get really hot. And that actually makes the composting process a lot faster, and you get better compost out of the end. So in general, when we talk about composting, the bigger pile, the better. You can also do it with worm farms. So I think it's just having a play around, making a designer compost to suit what you need. Kaicycle is really keen to help with that in any way that we can. And there's heaps of other resources and amazing initiatives and organisations out there providing information about composting and support. So it's not something that you have to do right from the start. There's a whole lot of groundwork that's already been laid. I think something that's also really important as well as balancing your ingredients is just having your maintenance sorted, having a compost care group, having a roster for whose turn it is to maintain. Because with properly maintained compost, it just doesn't get gross. Compost is always going to be a little aromatic, but we can make it more pleasant for ourselves with proper maintenance, and then you're more like the relationship. The more love you put in, the nicer compost you're going to get out, and the more enjoyable the whole experience is going to be. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and we'll continue all this at the composting workshop at the Kaicycle Urban Farm later in the month. So that's the date set for that. We'll be out here and hope to have lots of you along for that. Thank you.
Now I'm going to welcome up Sheldon, and he is representing Wellington Waste Managers. Yep. Again, Sheldon's one of these people who's got expertise in a huge number of areas. Brilliant. I'll fight the system, the computer system, and I'll hand over to Sheldon.
Kia ora. My name is Sheldon. I am representing Wellington Waste Managers today, who is a cooperative of people. We manage event waste, and looking from a zero waste perspective at massive events in Wellington and trying to tackle waste from there. We aren't a new idea. The reason that we incorporated and became a legal entity is so we could try and get funding and have a little more sway behind us. But there's been groups of people working in Wellington on this area for almost 10 years. And I've been working away, doing tireless work. And now it's really become a thing that's accepted by events, by the big events, and they're actually now willing to pay to have this work done, which a lot of these people didn't think would ever happen. I thought before I get into what we do and some of the stuff that we do, I would cover a little bit about recycling. There's so many myths out there and just kind of unknowns about the system. So I thought I'd quickly go through some of it. Particularly in Wellington, all plastic south of Lower Hutt, 1 through 7 is recycled. The whole, within reason, it's all recycled. So it goes, you put it out, it's picked up by the first contractor, it's driven out to Seaview where it's dumped into a big pile, then goes onto this massive machine called a MRF. It's a ridiculously sized robot, and it's sorted into every little piece from fibres, plastics, metals. Books are taken out physically by people, and then that is shipped overseas. And the people, so this is called OJ Fibers, is the final contractor in this pathway. Their international recycling plants were audited last year by the council and MFE. But in saying all of that, that system is fraught with all sorts of issues, and those contractors will lose their Malaysian end of life plants soon. But just in Wellington, three fruit sevens are still accepted, but not for long, and these contractors know it. Tin lids. So on a glass jar you might have a steel lid that can go inside, say, a tomatoes can. So the actual lid itself needs to be removed from the glass, but that won't get through the recycling robot. It'll fall out in the first step. So the trick is to put it into a can, like a steel can, and squish it shut, and the magnet at the end will pull it out. Plastic lids. Keep the plastic lid on the plastic bottle. There's like 1,000 different things that people say about it. Keep it on. All plastic is shredded, so you could stuff into your milk bottle another milk bottle of a different type. It doesn't actually matter. It'll get shredded, floated in big salt baths to choose the grades, and then it's kind of, and they switch it out using year and just with the stuff. So that's how plastic actually gets recycled. Is by floating it and shredded. So keep it on top. Someone asked before about grease on cardboard. Grease is pretty okay within reason. So the pizza box is fine. Pizzas are greasy, but it still works.
Fish and chip paper.
No. Compost would be so worms are okay with grease. They'll break down. But yeah, I'm going to leave the recycling stuff there. I'm sure there's many more questions, but hopefully the Facebook group can alleviate some of that. So Wellington Waste Managers, event scale stuff is kind of crazy. We've been working on events in Wellington since October last year. Trying to work with these events to get them to realise that they can zero waste their events. But we're also, our actual reason for doing this work is not really to zero waste these events, it's to create behaviour change in communities. By bringing in recycling initiatives, zero waste ideas into these events, we can start to change the way that people look at waste. We were doing Cuba Duper at the end of March, and I think some of the stuff is starting to come through. We're seeing people correcting their family, like little kids telling mum and dad for putting something in the red bin when it was clearly meant to go in the yellow bin. So this stuff is working, and then so from that, what I'd say is by taking these ideas back to your communities, you know, whether it be an event in your church or in your community or even in your home, talking about the stuff and implementing the stuff will change behaviours. But we shouldn't also lose sight of the high level policy stuff at the end of the day. In terms of what we've achieved, we've worked with 8 events since October, 8 big events, from the Highlight Festival, which is a light and sound event in the heart, some small community events, some street events like the Thorndon Fair, Island Bay Festival, Newtown Festival, Cuba Duper Festival, and Coastella. Of all of those events, they generated 6,733 kilos of waste, and by working with them really closely, we diverted 5,000 to 5 tonne of that near Wellington. So we diverted 80% with a lot of work. But also by working with them, we actually dropped that initial number, that 6,700. It would have been higher in itself. So some of the, Elise and Kate asked me, well, what are my top tips for running an event be? And I was thinking about it, and you have to look at your event on a hierarchy again and say, well, we need to reduce the actual waste that's being generated. So for a lot of these events, particularly Newtown Festival, it's a festival run on food, really. That's what keeps that festival running, food and music. And all that food comes in packaging. So we started, a number of years ago, we started looking at that system and saying, well, we're never actually going to get to zero waste, because built into it is just so much waste from the food. And so slowly we're working on a wash against waste system, so that you come to the festival, you're given a reusable plate. At the moment they're crockery, full-blown crockery plates, a knife and a fork and a cup. Someone sewed 200 reusable napkins. And so on a side street for the last 3 years, people have been eating on crockery plates. They've had commercial dishwashers running to wash it and bring it back. And so all that waste was never created. And with people seeing this, it's changing the way that we think about all this waste that's being created. And I was thinking when Takao was talking, if we go back in time and there were big hui in Marae, there would never have been waste, because at that time, you go back a few hundred years, we just simply weren't doing that. Our feasts were done communally, there was no packaging around, so we can imagine that it's possible. And an example I had was like a potluck. If you're having a potluck, everyone brings the food on something that's reused, there's no waste in the system. So if you are trying to start an event, the 3 things would be planning the event to start with based on ethical principles or zero waste principles or whatever it is that's grounding you. Identifying the easy wins, particularly for us working with, say, New Town Festival with 100,000 people. The system is outlandishly crazy, and so it's trying to find the little things that we can do to win, because those make you keep going. The system is daunting, the journey is long, but the little things will keep us going. If you're running an event at the kind of a medium scale, so like 500 people or more, that's kind of a community event, there's actually funding and infrastructure available out there. So the council's got the Waste Minimisation Fund, and a portion of that last year was ring-fenced for events to apply for it. So if you're on council land running an event, the first year you run it, you can apply for funding to have organisations like us come in and help you work through a waste minimisation plan and create systems for minimising waste. There's also a huge amount of infrastructure that exists in the city. So there's must be like 200 or 300 wheelie bins at the southern landfill that can be used by events for free. The issue is that you need a truck to move it, which is we're trying to work on a way to make that actually work for events, not many wheelie trucks. But also those hoods, those strange looking plastic caps that we put on the bins, those are all free. Anyone can go and get them from the landfill to run events. And then, again, reusables. I think everything when it comes to waste comes back to reusables, designing waste out of our system. Which is what you guys are trying to do. We're looking at the smaller end, but I think the takeaway is that this stuff does work, behaviour change is real, and we can change things, so don't get daunted by things.